This is the One Step Better podcast. Helping small businesses make wins each and every week. Hey everybody, welcome to the One Step Better podcast. I am Mike, and this is...
Are we sure?
Yeah, I was like, am I going to say Matt first, or am I going to say Mike first? Mike? I'm Mike, this is Matt.
Hey, Mike, what's up?
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Yeah.
We'll just both be Mike today. Matt, I'm curious, do you have a set morning routine rhythm? Like, do you go through the same steps every single morning?
God, I like when I do. I love to get up, have a cup of coffee, scroll through my phone, check my email, whatever it is. Like, have a rhythm to my mornings. Not every morning has that. I really like it when I can make myself a little breakfast at home, have a cup of coffee, and not be in a hurry. But I'm not always in control of my schedule that way. That's my ideal.
Do you prefer to have that same routine? Is it helpful?
I like it. It
Yeah.
definitely makes my day not feel frazzled.
Yeah.
I don't like having to get up, get ready, and go. Like, that's not something I love doing. But
I've had
I
this.
could make that happen if I just got up earlier, but I'm not going to do that either.
Yeah. I've had this, I feel like I've had the same morning routine forever. And I changed it about, 3-4 months ago, and it's been awesome. Normally my routine was always, I like to get up and go. I don't like to linger. So I get up, I take a shower, brush my teeth, get dressed, go out the door. It's basically that's every single time. I flipped it. I get up, I brush my teeth, then I take a shower, then I get dressed and go out the door. I don't know why, but this has been a pretty nice change.
You feel cleaner taking a shower with your teeth cleaned?
No, I feel more efficient because I turn the shower on, then brush my teeth, so the shower can warm up while I'm getting my teeth brushed. So it saved me about 0.84 seconds, and it was nice.
I've always brushed my teeth after the shower. That's normal, I guess.
So this was a change that was
change your
helpful.
process.
I changed the way I go about my morning. Our shower takes a while for the water to heat up.
Gotta fix that too,
because it's like, hot water heaters anyway. It just takes a while. So I changed the process, and it's helpful.
All about being efficient, Mike.
I love efficiency. I was born for efficiency, but it was difficult. So the first couple times I forgot, it was a mental, I want to change this, and it was tough. You mentioned that you prefer kind of that same process. Anytime there's a disruption to the things that we normally do, it requires a bit of a reset and mindset because it's different. It's change.
Yep.
And some people are super, super adverse. They do not like change. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going through this kind of a series in our podcast about technology. And one of the places that changes on an ongoing basis, seems like every single day there's a new thing, is technology. And it can be very disruptive to implement new technology in your business. And at the same time, it can be very helpful to implement new technology in your business. So today we're going to talk about some of the struggles that we've had over the years, maybe hopefully find some nuggets on ways to do it better.
I spent so much money on technology I don't use.
We're not going to talk about dollars.
Okay.
Let's have a little trauma session.
Yeah.
It's okay. All right.
All right.
So Matt, what are some of the pitfalls that you've encountered over the time of running this thing that, it's time for a change. We're going to implement something new. How did that go?
I immediately think about my Colby, and I'm a high quick start, and everything's going to go perfectly.
We'll figure it out.
I usually have identified, I think there's got to be a better way. No matter what it is, I think there's got to be a better way. Like, this is working fine, but man, it could be better still if we did this, or this. That has led to a very expensive lesson repeatedly where I start something, realize after I've already bought it that it may fix the one thing that I wanted it to fix, but it broke 47,000 other things, which wasn't an improvement of what I was doing before. But no, seriously, I think for me, it always starts with the overarching theme of, can we keep improving, right? Mm-hmm. So we put people in it. We talked about process last time. We talked about the combination of all three, but the tools to improve the process, I think, are rapidly evolving. There's so many things out there. Like, it could be as simple as, the telephone systems we use, or the video recorder that we're using, or the actual physical cameras we have here in the podcast. But I do feel like the mentality is always the same as, I think there may be a better way or a more efficient way we should be trying to improve this. The mistake I often make is I haven't explained why I'm looking at an improvement there well enough. And I haven't created a system to allow me a test bucket to try before we roll it out to everything and everywhere and just say, we're doing this. Probably need some more filters between me and the goal line. Probably a good idea. A couple roadblocks of me getting it to everybody would be great.
Those roadblocks are hearing the cries of your team.
Yep. That works pretty well.
You mentioned your awareness about that. And I think that's a really great place to start, because you knowing that, hey, my default, my bend is let's always be moving in some direction, sometimes forward, sometimes backwards, but we're moving, we're going somewhere. And you've been that way always. That's who you are. And it doesn't take long being around you to pick up on some of that stuff. And so we have a culture here that is receiving of that. It's accepting of that. No, it doesn't mean that people are always super happy and on board automatically whenever something happens.
Yes,
changes,
they are.
Right? But people do acknowledge that, hey, you know what? We're going to always be evolving, to the point where that's one of our core values. It's challenging things is part of our DNA. And acknowledging that up front is super helpful, because people then ultimately are more likely to buy in, because we're going to attract people that are similar, maybe not to the extent that you are, but they're similar to that, or at least receiving of that idea that things are going to change.
I hope that's empowering too. I think about it. Like we talked just, before the podcast today, we talking about the idea of empowerment of feedback, people receive feedback. And I think it's kind of similar to that with affecting of change. Like, I want to feel like they're empowered to say, look, we want to improve things here, and I see something that can be improved. I want to know that I'm able to say that this needs to be improved.
That's a good point. It's not, challenge it for us is not a top-down initiative.
Correct.
It's in everybody.
I want feedback means, hey, this is not, we could improve this. I think here's some things that I think could improve it, whatever it may be. I think, the biggest mistake I've made over the years probably is not explaining well enough why I'm looking to improve something. And it probably a lot of times because I haven't actually been able to clarify that yet. I just know what we're doing is not quite right. Or still seems inefficient. There's got to be a better way. And I'm going to test this tech tool, or I'm going to test this process. I mean, I'm very tech forward. Like, I like to tinker with tech in general. I like to look for new tools. I like to think about how I can plug tools into our processes. I think that's definitely a bend of mine. I don't always get everybody on board.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about that a little bit. Really what you're saying is one of the challenges of change, especially when it comes to your tools, is buy-in from the people that are going to be using those same tools, the team. And buy-in is really at the heart of a lot of times what's going to make or break an implementation of something new.
Yep.
I need my team to be on board with this, not like publicly, like, yeah, okay, I'm doing this, let's go.
No,
but like,
I'm all in, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, like, we're doing this. This is exciting. I'm ready for this. How do you create that buy-in?
I immediately think of explaining the why. We rolled out a new financial statement software, and we were using another tool. We're switching over. And what I think we did real well there was that I had the filter first to say, I think the software's going to be right. I then got another key leader involved in that to explain why I think that's right, show her what, it was Kim, and to show Kim, here's why I think we should be doing this. Here's what we're able to do because of it. I think just painting the whole picture of the end game of the change was what led to it being successful, because she got bought in. I mean, she's a galvanizer in general, so she was able to galvanize the team along with me and like, we're going to do this, and here's what we're saving, and here's what we're going to be able to implement, and here's what we're able to do from a consistency standpoint, and here's the long-term efficiency, and here's how it's going to roll out. In the past, I didn't always do that. It would be like, I kind of got started on something. I know that the results I have and working well, I'd say, Kim, we're doing this, and then I'd make Kim go do it or somebody else do it and figure out why we're doing it. Yeah. And I didn't do a good job of, I think, of connecting those dots.
Yeah, I think you always have to connect what we're changing to the ultimate benefit in a selfish motive of how does that help me
Yep.
in every role. That's the, open communication. has to be going on. And in our world, the other thing that we talk a lot about is it takes time. It's, you're a quick start. Let's go. I learn as I go. I'm willing to fumble my way through something. And we've gotten to a point where that's great for you to test out. That's how we evaluate stuff. But on implementation, that looks a lot different.
Yeah, 10 years ago, this was a nightmare for my team.
Yeah.
I didn't have any filters in between me and them. And it would be like, yeah, I'm the leader of this.
We're doing this.
We're rolling this out. Let's go figure it out. And I'm like, oh, that was dumb. Hey, we're not doing that anymore. That thing that I thought was going to fix this problem. But we went through 4 different people to do hosting of our server. One company did this, but they didn't do this. And then the next one, we had trouble with reliability. And then the next one, it was, man, well, we really can't do this, this, and this. And I was constantly changing to find the best solution.
Yeah.
But everybody had to ride that train along with me. I mean, we went through like virtual office, not virtual, like all this stuff through the software providers we were using. And it was definitely a filter of, hey, I'm dragging you guys along with me. And it was not fun. You said that it's on how it impacts me. Well, I think that's important. It may not be me, but it may be my client. And making, like, I think connecting the why, whatever the why is, how does this improve your life? How are you going to have to roll this out? But more importantly, what's the result we're able to do when we do these things?
You're painting the bigger vision of where this is going.
All the dots have to be connected, not just not. It can be selfish sometimes, like, oh, but this is going to be a lot more easier for me and blah blah blah. But it could be, well, here's a result we're really able to get because we get to here.
Yeah. I think from a buy-in perspective, it's whatever it takes.
Yeah.
I want to do whatever it takes to get my team on board and excited about this project. And that's not always easy to do, but it's something as the leader, you have to be mindful of the fact that most of the stuff that you're going to do has an impact to the team that you're leading. And if you ignore that altogether, or you're just moving without them, then at some point you're going to look back and your team isn't following you anymore. They're doing their own thing because they never understood the purpose of that change and they never really are using it. And at some point it never really got changed. The change that was tried to get implemented is really at maybe 60%. And so you have to kind of manage that process delicately because people do move at different speeds. I find also that to the extent that they understand the why, if the team gets it, all right, this does make sense. I'm on board with that. I do think it's going to be a better outcome. That next step then is getting them on board with how. Like they have to understand the plan. They need to be able to see the implementation schedule or whatever it is of that new tool, that new technology, whatever it is. And they have to understand how their daily life is going to be impacted by that and at what schedule, right? If we're going to, we're going to roll out this new tool that's going to affect all 600 of our companies that we service, well, maybe that's going to be done in increments of 20%, so on and so forth. Well, where does that hit me? How is that going to affect me? That's what I'm thinking of when I think about the connection to me is I need to understand my role in that ultimate project because it is going to impact my ability to do my work possibly.
Yeah.
And so I have to have the appropriate training and I have to be comfortable with that. Not everybody is that high quick start that can say, well, to the extent I don't know, I'm going to figure it out as I go. Now, I genuinely believe that every person on our team would figure that stuff out as they go, but it's not their natural bend.
We have a couple that I honestly think they have to kind of make their bed before they move in it. And they have to feel like they have a good plan that's given to them that they can go execute on. Yeah. So figuring it out isn't always the best way. Now, that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that that's what they need.
Yeah, everybody's different. And so to the extent we can make that bed for them and then show them that's the bed you're going to lay in, their buy-in is going to drastically increase with a little bit of effort on our end to actually paint that picture.
Yeah, and we've done this, different payroll software we've chosen over the years. We get started on something, then we have to pull the plug because we found out something that was a deal breaker. And like the solution we went to now isn't as good as the one we were before. I think if we'd have did a better job of pre-planning we would have probably not had the expense of a bad purchase.
Yeah. I think another thing that we have to be careful of as leaders, especially when it comes to change and implementing new things, is the openness to have a dialogue with our teammates about it. In our world, if it's important not to shut down a conversation, especially if maybe somebody on our team is saying, hey, what about this? Or should we do that? Or have we thought about doing this? If they're the ones that are actually coming up with the ideas of change, those should always be met with openness. And, because a lot of times, especially if it's a new hire, maybe they did something at a previous company that they think can translate. They may come in and say, hey, have you guys thought about this? That has to be met with, oh, that's interesting. Let's, what do you think about it? Maybe not instead of, but on the other end of that could be,
no, we're not doing that.
No, we're not doing that. Or, yeah, we already did that. We tried, it failed. Like, there has to be some open dialogue between the team to where they feel comfortable bringing in those ideas. Because ultimately, if you really want to talk about buy-in, the best place to get buy-in is let the team have the idea to begin with.
Yep.
Because to the extent they're bringing it,
you have to create the kernel of pain enough that they want to go find a solution.
Yeah.
So that generates their idea to fix it.
The hardest part about that for me is whenever they bring a solution or an idea that's like that 90%, 95%, it's almost great. Like, it's almost perfect. And I think about, well, these are the ways that could be 97% great. And I start to throw in my 2 cents, and it completely kills their, like, you know what? They got it this far. They're going to get the rest of the way. Me adding that 2 cents makes them go negative on their idea. Like, it's hard to let that run whenever you can see maybe a little bit of a tweak or something a little bit different. But when they're running with their ideas, a lot of times they're going to get that idea further than I could ever get my ideas with them. And that's a hard place.
My ideas are the best, Mike.
Right. I always believe my ideas are the best.
Yeah.
But if my idea is not incrementally or super much better than theirs, they're going to be more bought into their opinions than they are mine, even after trying to get buy-in. And so
super much better.
Is that what we're doing here? So Matt, thanks for joining. As always, it's always fun to talk about technology and change, and it's something that's a ever revolving door around here. And so thank you guys for listening. Make sure that you subscribe so you don't ever miss an episode. Share it with your friends. Make sure everybody knows about the One Step Better podcast, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks for listening to the One Step Better podcast. I'd really appreciate it if you would take some time to rate us 5 stars on your podcast player of choice, and make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you never miss out on another episode. Thanks, and have a great day.